Hey everybody, welcome to Drive-Thru Review 828. Today we're going to take a look at French toast. It's just a small box. It just comes with cards with words on them. So this is a word game kind of in the vein of Just One or Insider or something like that. This has a little bit of a twist on it. And it also has a ton of flexibility. So I have a little bit of a story about how I came to come across this game, and then some of the stuff that myself and a couple of different groups of people have been involved with in terms of playing this game. So before I get to all that, which I'll stick at the end of the review, I'm just going to show you very quickly how this works. This may be the fastest rules walkthrough ever on the channel. Now that I've said that, it's not going to be, but it's going to be close. So let's take a look. Okay, what you're going to get in the box besides the rules, this little 4-part puzzle piece, which acts as kind of the board, a couple of decks of cards, and then this timer here, which is a 30-second timer. Now what you're going to do, you've got two types of nouns. You've got a big old stack here of basic nouns, and you have a big old stack here of advanced nouns. So you're going to choose whether you're going to play basic or advanced. There's no different rules there. So I will take a random card off the top. This will be one player in cooperation with a group of players. It could be one other player, it could be 8 other players, but there's going to be one player that draws a card, looks at it, doesn't show anybody. This player is the alien player. What the alien player is going to do is take a look at that and go, okay, so good. Put that down, and then they're going to draw 6 cards off the top of the hint deck. This will be shuffled up. They're going to choose one that kind of goes with soap, or maybe is the opposite of soap. So their choice is colorful, fun, vegetable, fragile, or old. Now, what do any of those words have to do with soap? Not a ton, but we're going to say it is sort of colorful. So we're going to put the soap here. Actually, I think I might even drop it down here. So you can see here, if I take a look at these pieces, this is not all the way up to is. So it's also like kind of a hot and cold idea. So there's is. And so you have 6 slots here with these little checkered lines here. And so it's like, it's not totally not colorful, but it's a little colorful. And then I'm just going to say the word French toast. And then if you're playing with the timer variant, we'll just talk about that first, you'll flip this over, and then all the other players across the table from you, doesn't matter how many, are going to start saying words. They go, that's kind of not colorful. So I start off by saying French toast, and maybe they'll say banana. And if I think the word banana is closer to this word, to soap, than French toast, I will say back to them banana, and that becomes kind of the new sort of word. If I don't think it's closer, which in this case I don't think it is closer, I would just say French toast back to them. And so they go, okay, we didn't get anywhere with that. Maybe they'll say car, and then they'll start throwing different words out. As soon as they come across something that is closer, then I'll say it. So let's say somebody says house. So I say, yeah, house. House is closer to soap than French toast. They say house, and they start saying the rooms. Somebody says kitchen, and I say same. So it's like, I'm not going to jump from house to kitchen, but I would say it's kind of in the same ballpark. Somebody says bathroom, I say bathroom. And so they say, oh, bathroom, sink. And I say sink. Sink's closer to soap than just a plain old bathroom. So eventually, this timer is going to run out. And so we'll pause. That'll be the end of that round. And then I'll draw 6 more cards. And then we'll pick one. So clear, quiet, tall, mineral, ugly, or big. And I will say, this is a tough word here. I don't even know what to pick. I'm going to say clear and put it like next to colorful, because these words do not matter. And a lot of times these words won't really help you that much. So there's be like, okay, this makes no sense. It's not colorful, but it's not clear. I mean, you can have some soap that's kind of clear, so it's not there. So let's find a good word. Let's say I had solid, right? And I'm like, yeah, that's definitely solid. Now, the other thing to keep in mind here, so we're going to keep doing that until somebody guesses the word, and then we all win collectively. If you get all 6 cards out here and nobody has guessed the words at the end of that 6th round, then we all lose. Now, one thing to note, when you draw a new card of these to start the round, you can then rearrange these, but you do have to have 6, one in each slot basically. So as new words come in, you can say, oh, it's actually more this than solid or something. And so you just play that way, and then that's a quick game. It takes 15 minutes or so, maybe not even that sometimes. And then, or there's another way to play. And the other way to play is you get rid of the timer, and then, so there would still be one player on this side, and let's say there's 3 players opposite me. And then everybody gets a guess. So there's no timer, so there's Billy, Francesca, and Bobby, and everybody gets one guess. If somebody guesses a word that then becomes closer than French toast, that person immediately gets another guess. So in our previous example, if somebody said car, I'd say, nah, French toast. Somebody says house, I say house. That person again gets another guess. If they get closer still, they get another guess, so they can kind of double down on that. And then once they kind of run out or they hit a same, where somebody says same, then the next person, the last person in this case, would get their guess. And then again, once everybody's had their guess, you'll do 6 more cards, pick one and put it down, and then you just do it that way. So the game kind of has sort of those 2 variants that you can play. There's also a team variant, like 2 teams playing against each other. I've not tried that, but the game is open to lots and lots of variants, which I'll go talk about now in the review portion. Okay, so that is French toast, and I'll just jump right into talking about the review. Normally I talk about playtime, player count, and then what is this game like. Quickly, player count doesn't matter at all. Obviously there's no solo, but any other player count. The thing that will drive, or the thing I should say that the player count will drive itself, is whether or not I want to use that timer. I'll talk about that more in a second. But it's fine I haven't played obviously all the player count. Now play time is also going to vary, but that's because of variance. But you can play this game in like 5 minutes, no problem. Now what is this game like? Obviously I said it talked about Just One and Insider and any kind of word games, Decrypto, that kind of stuff. This one is super light. It's probably closer to Just One than any of the other games that I mentioned. So before I get too far ahead of myself, I want to talk to you about how I was introduced to this game, and then some of the things that I've done introducing it to my game group here, as well as my family, and just I want to get into that. So I had no idea this game existed. And then Jamie Keegi from Secret Cabal, we have a little group chat, and he said, hey guys, we're going to play a game. And he just started in. He's like, showed us the board with the hint card, and then he sent like a little quick 1-minute audio. Here's how to play the game, go. And we did, obviously, since we were playing, in the text chat, everybody gets a guess thing. We didn't use a timer, of course. And so we all just played it, and we were like, okay, this is amazing. This is a lot of fun. And it was really amazing because it just works so well in like a group chat. And I've been playing it, and our local friend group here has a Discord server of our own that we just have, the dozen or so of us in there, and we've just been playing it in there, and it works perfect because if it takes somebody 2 hours to get to their turn to guess, it's no big deal. And there can be a lot of like back and forth and discussion like that in the group, and yelling at the person who's giving the clues, and that kind of stuff. So it works awesome online like that. Like it's just a very casual sort of play it in the background type of thing. So that's great. So it works well there. The other thing that is really cool in that scenario, when you're playing kind of the turn-based one without the real-time egg timer thing, is Jamie came up with this way to kind of score points, which is very fun because it added kind of a dimension to it. So you're still playing like cooperatively, but there's like a little bit of a competitive advantage. So what happens is if you get, this is just his way of scoring it, I think it works fine, it's just a fun thing to do, is if you guess a word that gets re-triggered and then that becomes the new word, you get 1 point. If you guess, the final word, the hidden word, you get 5 points. And you just keep track of that over multiple games, and then you have like the best player out of your group. And that was fun because that added kind of an interesting sort of competitive edge to it after we'd played it a few times. And I thought it was a lot of fun. And it kind of like, I found the scoring to kind of be like encouraging of people, because there is one thing that will happen, and I've seen it when I've been on the guessing side and I've been on the clue giving side, is a group will get very stuck in sort of a train of thought, which is very interesting with this game, and I've not really seen that in a lot of other word games. And so the ability for the group mind, if you will, to sort of straddle that fence of, do I break off the tracks to try to set boundaries in terms of what we're trying to narrow in, or do I kind of follow this train of thought? So for example, one thing that I've seen happen and I'll just say the word that it was. Hopefully this isn't spoiling, but I had the word dragon, okay? And the way that the clues were sort of shouted out back to me was they got really stuck on dinosaur. They ended up getting the word on the 6th round. And luckily I had the word magical come up in my hints. And so I put that all the way to the is. So that broke us out and somebody got dragon. But they were so locked into like prehistoric stuff and dinosaur stuff, so they didn't really break off the track to sort of jump out. No, a dinosaur's kind of like a dragon. It's like a big animal that's sort of like, I mean, dinosaurs are real, but you know what I mean? Like, or were real, but it's like not a real thing. Like we don't see dinosaurs and dragons out in the world. Anyway, so the group got really on the track like that. And I've been also part of the, you know, when I'm doing the guessing, it's like, we're like following the wrong word association. It's like we get, you know, we get moving from French toast to bathroom to soap to whatever, but we're taking the wrong clue from it. We're taking the opposite clue, some other clue that's happening then. So that's kind of an interesting thing. And so with the scoring, back to that idea, is that's kind of cool because it sort of incentivizes you to sort of break off the track a little bit and start to realize, you know what, I should maybe just jump off and see if there is some other association. If we jump to that, we know, oh, okay, now we have a little bit more context for all the hint cards and the previous words that everybody said. Or if they say no, we stick back in that, then you start to kind of narrow down your context there, which is very interesting. Now, I will say this. In person, the turn-based one works very well depending on the player count. So if you have like a big amount of players, which I have not played, I've only played with like two, well, me and a partner, and then two other partners. But I see and we did that both timed and turn-based. And I like the turn-based better, but I think if we started to get up like 5, 6, 7 other players, I wouldn't want to wait around for everybody to have a turn and then have the discussion. Like, it would just bog the game down. So at that point, that's when I want to throw the timer in play and kind of let people sort of talk it out. But I think it's better, and this is maybe just an experience that I had, is better to play it with the turn-based first, so everybody gets a good sense, so you can get a really good read on this whole, you know, semantic context, to use college words. But so they kind of understand what the game is and how it's supposed to work before you just have people sort of firing stuff off. Because if you don't kind of understand some of that, and people are just kind of throwing out random words, if people aren't really keyed in because it's a very casual experience, then it might not be a great experience in terms of a play experience. So that's all that stuff. And then also, though, if you played it with 2 players, I would give them, if you're doing the turn-based, give them 2 guesses or 3 guesses. So it's kind of like they're 3 different players in that sense. So they get their 1 guess. And if they get a follow-up, then that's kind of that 1 player. Then they go to the next guess, the next guess. Because with just 2 players, it's not really kind of enough. And then, or with the 2 players, you can play with the egg timer, the hourglass timer. And 2 or 3 players, but then like once you get like 3, 4, 5, I would throw the timer out of it, and then the turn-based becomes really, really cool there. So anyway, you can kind of play around with that. Now the other thing that we've done with this is, and I've only done this with Jamie and some of our friends there, is we turned this into, this is totally Jamie's thing. He said, instead of French Toast, we're playing The English Patient, which is a movie. And so Jamie said, he says, I can't think of a more like bland, middle of the road movie than The English Patient. I was like, yeah, you know, I don't disagree with that too much. And so what he's going to do is that, you know, you write down a movie title on a sheet of paper and put it face down, and then you just use the same mechanism, but it's all movies. And that has been so fun and so awesome. And you could really do that with anything. We talked about, I was like, well, you could do that with board games. You could do that with anything. And as long as people in the group all are like movie buffs in this case, or board game fans, you know, you wouldn't want to do it like, let's do board games, and the person's like, I don't know, I know about Monopoly and Catan. You know, that person's not going to have a good time. So you got to know your group in that case. But we've been doing it with movies, and it's so fun doing that. And if I recall correctly, Jamie said on the podcast, he even thinks that's more fun. I'm trying to decide if I think it's more fun. I think in certain contexts, like in the context that we're doing, it's more fun. because we just have the right set of people in that particular group chat that really enjoy movies and all kinds of movies and stuff like that. And so it's really, really a lot of fun there. And we were talking about it. You think if you could like have a little expansion cards or something, like they could do another box that was like had like 3 or 4 or 5 decks or something in here that were just like little cards that you'd shuffle into the hint deck or something. I don't know. You don't even really need to do that. You can just do it with the cards as is, because they're fine. But maybe there would be room there to throw in like movie related hints or board game related hints and stuff like that. Maybe. I don't know. It would be fun. Or you could just pick any word you want and just do it and do the free association stuff. And I would say, start with the basic nouns and then move on to the advanced. And it's some of the basic nouns I've found actually like, this is trickier than I thought it was going to be. And then some of the advanced nouns, like, oh, they got that in like 2 rounds. Yeah, so that's cool. I mean, we really have just had a ton of fun with it. And like I said, you can play it online in a group chat. You can play it, at the beginning and the end of a game night. You're waiting for somebody to show up. It plays so quick. And it's something that you can kind of drop in and out of too. If you're doing like the timer one, like who cares if like the player count changes too, if you're playing turn-based. It's just super fun. And this is I don't know if this is like a 2nd edition. This is from All Play. I should have said that at the beginning. And I think Asmodee is like distributing it and stuff. So it's kind of a new edition. This might look a little different. This is a couple of years old, this game. But I had never heard of it. Designed by Peter Hayward and art by Laura Ekblad. So, and I really like this new edition. I looked at the old edition and it was okay. But this one, I really like how this looks, and the form factor and everything just works really good. And you can get it for $25 online, shipped probably around that. So it's easy to get. And I highly recommend it. I think it's fantastic. We've had a lot of these word games. This one's got a permanent spot on the shelf, 100%. So thanks.